My style of art, working with the photograph, I've called photo revised art. I want to give it a name. I hope everybody gives their digital art style a name. So for short, it's digital FRA. Remember that, digital FRA. This is one of my, not my originals, but one of the first ones that I really liked. This was a photograph of a tree pod, and I love the shapes. When I took the picture, I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but it was easy once I got home and loaded it to see that there was a face there. And faces are my go-to. People and faces are my go-to, and I'll explain a little bit more of that later. So half a man. So here's another pattern that I think is just beautiful. I love the colors. I love the shapes. This one, when I started working at, when I took this photograph, I had been well into it. This was in 2016. So, let me back up one sec. How long have I been doing this? It took me 2 years to develop my style, and I decided that I would develop my style because what excited me most about going to art shows is seeing something new, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create something that I had never seen before. So it took me 2 years to develop the style, 8 years of working on getting my portfolio together. Because just like most artists, everything you do doesn't always come out wonderful. So, and then I've been doing shows for about 1.5 years now. So this one, Pine Tree in Bloom, I did a negative on. I bumped up the color, and then I flattened out the lines, or expanded the lines. From there, I could see the two faces. Finished it off. It's called Conversation. Okay, and this one, I started a new series. I wanted to get into an art show at the Shrimp Festival up in Amelia Island. And I just got back from it. It was a wonderful show, loved it. So I had to create, they wanted fish, they wanted seafood, or not seafood, they wanted seafood. They want seafood there for sure. But they wanted nautical pictures. So this picture was made from the picture of clouds, and how I do it is I pushed everything together to make the image. One of the reasons why my art looks different than other art is because all the images that I'm making are completely different than the photograph. Not only that, but they're images that are in my mind. I don't look at pictures. I've seen fish. I've been a fisherman ever since I was 6 years old, so I know what they look like. So the next picture was a piece that I did from a cactus photograph. And this one, I didn't change the colors. On the one previous, it was a monochromatic fish in blue. It was easy to change it to green. I knew that I wanted to make this piece a collage of those pieces. So that's why I changed the blue fish to a green fish. One fish, two fish. And this picture is called Counting Fish. This piece is called Part of the Big Picture. And this piece is called Fish Count. There's a tiny bit of a riddle there, but it's whatever. Okay, so this is one of my patterns, and I totally love this picture so much. The cherry on top is the green gum at the top. I think that's just wonderful. Here's a blank screen, and this used to be a picture of an octopus that I made it into. Later, if I have time, I'll pull that one up from my screen. I don't know why it's not here. We did have some technical difficulties with my computer not going on at all for like 10 minutes. It was very nerve-wracking. So I'll go on to the next. So this is a newer style that I started. I have the picture of the tree. This picture was taken in Utah. Gorgeous colors out there. So I moved all the pixels together. And then I pulled out the ones that I wanted to make this flower. Because the flower is monochromatic, one color, I was thinking in my mind that I wanted to make them all different colors so that people could, the interior design thing kicked in, and make them in different colors so people could choose the color they wanted, even match something to their house in an exact color to fit in their room to pull it together. Okay, this picture is called Involve, and I like, if I can, on some of my pieces, to leave part of the photograph untouched. The part in here is in the middle. That is a photograph of a fort door in St. Augustine, shot at an angle. I'm not much on abstracts, but people want them, so I do them. This one I'm very pleased with. It was chosen by a architectural and interior design firm in Ybor called Nine. I think it's just called Nine. And they have built, they're in the process of building more, but they build upscale dorms for college kids that have art in them. And then they have these wonderful pieces of art with a little bio next to them about the artist. So that's very exciting. This one is going to be hung in the Gainesville dorm that will be completed in August. It was also chosen to be on the cover of the South Miami Rotary Arts Festival. It's at the bottom. So that was very exciting. This one shows that it's called Oops, and the guy's lost his head. I love things that can make people laugh, make them think about, look deeper than just their first glance, but to really get engaged and hopefully have communication, but at the very best, smile. And I can see it when people come in my booth, too. They get it or they don't. But when people come in my booth and they immediately start smiling, like I'm like, eh. I melt. So this is a wonderful pattern. This is a grading of a double sewer in London. And I just was totally in love with it. Didn't know what I was going to do with it. And, ready? There we go. So it's up for interpretation. It's just called Move On. So here's another lovely piece. It's pond scum. But not just any pond scum. It came from a famous place. This was taken in Spain at the Gaudi house, where the iconic mosaic lizard lives. And right in front of that lizard is a fountain with this very pond scum. The thing that I like about it best is if you look, it looks like a pearl. That little bubble just has the appearance of being a pearl. And this is the piece I made from it. It is called Infringe. Okay. This piece kind of has special meaning. People look at this and think that I've taken a photograph of a glass sculpture, or they're not really sure. It's called Protect Yourself because I am a hermit, and I've led a very limited existence with other people until I started being in the art world, and I had to come out. So that's in the last 10 years I've been coming out. So when I started doing shows is when I felt it the most, because I was talking so much, and I felt guarded. So that's why I created this piece. It was an expression of how I was feeling. This is the piece this photograph that it was made from. This is the kapok tree at the kapok tree restaurant. I did the negative on it and tinted it in blue. And I tried a couple colors, but blue is the one that popped. And that's the picture again. Okay, so this is a fun piece. This was in Utah at Bryce Canyon. And I made my abstract dog. This piece is one of the beginning pieces that I made, so it has a spot in my heart. It's called One Problem at a Time. It does have an Indian feel, and they definitely had problems. And I don't know if they took them one at a time or not, but that's just what I got from when I was making this piece. This is the photograph that it was taken from. Okay, and this next piece you may recognize if you've been around the Dunedin Art Center very long. This was a contest winner for the garden party. I believe it was 2015. So, just like everything in life, there's always exceptions to the rule. And this piece has that exception. I didn't just use one photograph for this, I used two. And I will show you those two photographs. This was all the leaves, everything came from this. And you can see that the trunk, I left one piece that was not manipulated too much. So when I'm looking for photographs, I've been doing this so long now, 9-10 years, that I realize how things are going to react, and certain things call for certain kind of plain pictures, and this was one of them. And then this is the picture that I put behind it. I just made it fuzzy so that it would give it depth. This picture was taken of the marble floor in Rome in one of the cathedrals. And this is the piece I made from it. This piece is called Possibilities. And I was thinking of a couple. They have continuity with the lines in the middle, but they have their own hopes and dreams. That would be what's above them. So I'm doing really good on time. I must have talked too fast. Okay, but I have more. So if I have lights, this is my backup stuff. But maybe you guys have a million questions. I don't know. So I'm going to start with this piece. This piece reminds me of my mother. Okay. My mother has been my biggest fan and always been a true champion of, you can do anything, and oh, that's wonderful. And I'm like, it's your mother, right? You believe them, but it is good. You always still have that in the back of your mind. My mother had this wonderful ability to see faces in everything. Not only the clouds, just everything. So I was raised with that. That's what I do. So that's probably one of the contributing factors to me going to faces when I do my art. Oh, I know the other piece that was missing. All right, I have two pieces to show you from there on the computer. So this right here was from a tree trunk. This was all untouched at the bottom. And it was a tree that when I was a florist for 12 and a half years, I sat in my car, had lunch, because I don't like people, and I was watching this every day, this mouth. And I finally took a picture of it, because it was changing. And thank goodness I did, because it eventually grew over, and it is no more. So some people think, oh, this looks angry. And I'm like, no, to me it looks like Oscar the Grouch. It looks silly. So my mom had a great sense of humor. She loved talking to people. When I was and my brother were children, she would talk to everybody in the grocery line. She would talk to everybody. I'm like, oh, Mom, why do you have to do this? So that's that. And I do have postcards here for anyone that can take them to have a memento here and some other in a card. Okay, so this piece I was making, because I have very silly moments also, and I believe that life is much better with comedy. In every career that you do, except maybe an undertaker, then you need comedy. You just need it. So this I made in a silly whim because I never brush my hair. I stopped brushing my hair in high school because I have always been a person that keeps track of time. I slept only 4 hours a day ever since I was a baby. Except for when I had children. They wrecked it. And it was an 8-hour thing, and I was nursing an 8-hour thing. So this one, my boyfriend saw it, and he said, "That looks like you." And I said, "Who, me?" So that's the name of that piece. Okay. So this piece I brought because it's called Movement, and it's whimsical. It's very much for interpretation. I have no real story for it. And as a matter of fact, sometimes I don't have stories for my pieces. Sometimes they're very strong, but not other times. I don't even know why I made them. But other people come into my booth, and they'll say something to connect it to something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. That's cool. So this one I brought because sometimes people walk into my tent and they say, "Do you do drugs?" And my answer is, no, I am completely sober when I do my art. I take it very seriously. Not that I have not done drugs, but I did those when I was very young. And I never saw anything like this when I did drugs.